want to tell you a little story.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at what's historically accurate and what was changed for dramatic effect in the Bob Dylan biopic, A Complete Unknown.
You can be beautiful or you can be ugly, but you can't be plain.
Number 10. Dylan went to New York to visit Woody Guthrie. Right.
A few months back, my friend Woody Guthrie and I, we met a young man.
The film opens with Dylan traveling to New York to see folk artist Woody Guthrie, who helped shape his passion for music.
I roamed and rambled and I followed my footsteps.
Although that is true, A Complete Unknown tweaks a few details. Dylan arrived in the city with his friend Fred Underhill, who's absent from the picture. It's also implied that Dylan met Guthrie at the hospital, when in reality, he tracked him down to Bob and Cecil Gleason's apartment in East Orange, New Jersey.
Since his introduction to Guthrie's work, Dylan, like fellow Greenwich Village musician Rambling Jack Elliott, had begun to imitate not only the musical style, but also the mannerisms of the ailing older artist.
That said, Guthrie was being treated at Greystone Park Psychiatric Hospital for Huntington's disease as he lost the ability to speak and sing. While Dylan hadn't written Song to Woody yet, his friendship with Guthrie was naturally the inspiration behind this love letter to a folk legend.
Hey, hey, Woody Guthrie, I wrote you a song.
Number 9. Dylan's introduction to Pete Seeger. Wrong. When Dylan meets Guthrie in the film, fellow folk singer Pete Seeger is also present. Since Dylan arrives with nothing but a guitar and the clothes on his back, Seeger takes the young artist under his roof and his wing.
Like the stillness in the wind before the hurricane begins, the hour that the ship comes in.
Seeger indeed played a key role in turning Dylan from a complete unknown to a folk music icon, but their first encounter went differently.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Speaking with Rolling Stone, Seeger remembered first hearing Dylan perform in Greenwich Village during the infancy of his career. Seeger invited him to a Carnegie Hall hootenanny where he told the singers they'd each get 10 minutes to sing no more than 3 songs. According to Seeger, Dylan raised his hand in protest, saying one of his songs was 10 minutes.
Then the tide will sound and the wind will pound and the morning will be breaking.
Number 8. Dylan met Joan Baez at Gertie's Folk City. Right. Joan Baez was already the queen of folk when she met a relatively unknown Bob Dylan. In the movie, Baez performs at Gertie's Folk City before Dylan comes on stage.
How about that Joan Baez, folks? Well, she's pretty. Sings pretty.
After complimenting the previous act, Dylan sings I Was Young When I Left Home as an entranced Baez watches from the audience. Some liberties are taken here, as Baez and Dylan didn't perform back-to-back when they first met. However, the two did meet for the first time at this famed music venue.
Arise, arise, Mary Hamilton, arise and tell to me.
Having heard positive things, Baez decided to check out Dylan's act. Although she was in attendance with her then-boyfriend and supposedly thought Dylan looked like a, quote, urban hillbilly, she enjoyed Song to Woody. Dylan subsequently introduced himself, leading to a collaboration and more.
But I can't think for you. You have to decide whether Judas Iscariot had God on his side.
Number 7. Dylan turned to Baez during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Wrong. Although Dylan and Baez had a romantic relationship, the film omits several chapters.
Yeah, these chords I learned from a cowboy named Wigglefoot.
You were in a carnival.
For example, Dylan was initially drawn to Baez's sister Mimi, who isn't present here. A Complete Unknown implies that their relationship turned sexual while Dylan's girlfriend was out of town and the Cuban Missile Crisis occurred. Uncertain what tomorrow will bring, Dylan brings Baez back to his place where the two spend the night together.
Too hard.
Excuse me?
You tried too hard to write.
Really?
Yeah, if you're asking.
There's no record of this happening, and given the timeline of their relationship, it's unlikely that they were sleeping together at this point. The Cuban Missile Crisis would impact Dylan, inspiring him to write A Hard Rain's A Gonna Fall.
You know, the song was really going in directions aesthetically that I don't think anybody wanted to think too much about what the implications of that were.
Here, however, Dylan and Baez sing Blowin' in the Wind the morning after.
How many deaths it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Number 6. Dylan's Rainbow Quest episode. Wrong. From 1965 to 1966, Pete Seeger hosted a folk music TV show called Rainbow Quest, which aired on the New York-based station WNJU.
Tonight and in the weeks to come, I'd like to invite you to come with me on a rainbow quest. To try and seek out all the different colors and kinds of human beings we have in our land.
Although it only lasted 39 episodes, Rainbow Quest booked several big names, from the Clancy brothers to Johnny Cash and June Carter. Bob Dylan was never on the show, however. The film suggests that Dylan dropped by the set and was sporadically brought in front of the camera, although Seeger is already interviewing Jesse Moffett. If you're wondering who Jesse Moffett is, that's because no such musician exists, but he is played by a real blues singer named Big Bill Morganfield. As for Dylan's impromptu guest spot, it's a fabrication, like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Number 5. Dylan's friendship with Johnny Cash. Right. Since James Mangold also directed Walk the Line, it isn't surprising that Johnny Cash plays another major role in this music biopic.
Amy, you got a cigarette?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cash's name is mentioned early on as Dylan enters the spotlight. Making a name for himself, Dylan is delighted to receive a message from Johnny Cash, one of his idols. Dylan responds, exchanging letters before eventually meeting in person. In real life, Cash was compelled to write to the young folk musician after listening to the freewheelin' Bob Dylan.
So if you're traveling the North Country Fair.
Already a fan of Cash's, Dylan didn't hesitate to form a friendship. The pen pals finally met face-to-face at the 1964 Newport Folk Festival. As Dylan later found himself at odds with others in the folk community, Cash encouraged him to make some noise.
Make some noise, BD.
Number 4. Dylan and Bob Newworth's elevator encounter. Wrong.
200 people in that room, and each one wants me to be somebody else. They should just let me be.
Let you be what?
Out of place at a high-class New York party, Dylan retreats into an elevator where he meets a young musician named Bob Newworth. Liking what he has to say, Dylan ditches his date and follows Newworth to a gig. Unfortunately, Dylan can't go anywhere without being recognized, getting into a fight while Newworth comes to his defense. It isn't long until the two become friends, with Newworth serving as Dylan's road manager. While that last part is true, the build-up is fictionalized. Dylan and Newworth didn't meet by chance in a Manhattan elevator, but rather at the Indian Neck Folk Festival in Connecticut. The brawl is also fabricated, although it is more believable than the punch thrown in Hearts of Fire.
You done good, boss.
Number 3. Dylan's complicated relationship with Sylvie Russo / Susie Rotolo. Right.
They say no one wants to hear what a kid wrote last month.
Well, I like your songs.
Elle Fanning plays artist Susie Rotolo, who's called Sylvie Russo here. Despite the name change, the film is mostly faithful to Rotolo's rocky romance with Dylan.
Came here with nothing but a guitar. You never talk about your family, your past.
People make up their past, Sylvie. They remember what they want.
Rotolo was Dylan's muse, especially as his music turned more political. The relationship faced one too many hurdles to endure, Dylan's affair with Joan Baez being one of them. Rotolo also went to Europe without Dylan for an extended time, contributing to the rift. The film leaves out a few other dark periods, such as a pregnancy that ended in an agreed-upon abortion. The movie's version of their breakup is also dramatized, as Rotolo didn't accompany Dylan to the 1965 Newport Folk Festival. By 1964, though, the relationship ended in heartbreak, inspiring Dylan to write Ballad in Plain D.
I once loved a girl, her skin it was bronze.
Number 2. Dylan and Baez's spat over Blowin' in the Wind. Wrong.
So this is... what?
I don't know.
Joan Baez was instrumental in shaking Dylan's complete unknown status, covering his songs and often performing with him on stage. While the film recreates some of their collaborations, one scene hits a false note.
For anyone who's gonna hold your attention on a stage, you have to kind of be a freak.
During a performance in 1964, Dylan brings their duet to a halt, refusing to sing Blowin' in the Wind. Not committing to any set list, Dylan walks off stage while Baez sings solo. It's true that Dylan grew disenchanted with Blowin' in the Wind around this time, at one point calling it, quote, just another song.
They just want me singing Blowin' in the Wind for the rest of my goddamn life.
His relationship with Baez was also going through a rough patch, setting the stage for their breakup in 1965. Yet this particular argument never transpired in front of a live audience. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The crowd called Dylan Judas. Right.
I hear Bob is playing electric.
Not on our stage, he isn't.
When Dylan swapped out his acoustic guitar for an electric sound, it was seen as the ultimate betrayal among folk music purists.
You have to remember, at the time, there was a very clear distinction. I mean, folk music offered authenticity and purity, and pop music was vulgar and really was shut out of the room. And by marrying those two together, many saw this as a betrayal, that it was Dylan selling out.
During a 1966 world tour performance in Manchester, England, an audience member angrily referred to Dylan as Judas. Dylan responded, quote, "I don't believe you, you're a liar," before instructing his band to play louder. A complete unknown accurately recreates this incident, albeit with a significant change. Instead of Manchester's Free Trade Hall, Dylan is called Judas at the 1965 Newport Folk Festival. That said, Electric Dylan was starting to infuriate his fan base around this time, sparking boos from the Newport audience. From a storytelling perspective, it makes sense to combine these events, so no need to call the filmmakers Judas.
Well, this is gonna piss some people off.
What did you think of A Complete Unknown? Let us know in the comments. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.